Visa bought a CryptoPunk, NFTs are mooning, crypto regulation is a big deal, it's time to rally around a game plan, liquidity and memes are the key tools to succeed in the metaverse. All of this and much more on... I'm Luke, and this is TLDR, where we catch you up on all the headlines and important narratives from around Bankless this week. As always, there are going to be links down in the show notes for you to do a deeper dive into any of these topics. Before we get going, I want to quickly shout out TracerDAO, which just dropped its Litepaper over the weekend. They're building decentralized derivatives products and are kicking things off this month with perpetual pools. Read the Litepaper to learn more, and it looks like the world of DeFi derivatives is just getting started. To kick things off, Ryan Selkis came on the podcast this week to talk about regulation. And this conversation pairs really well with last week's episode with Jake Chervinsky because you get to see two different but equally valid approaches to the crypto lobby. These two episodes really feel like a good cop, bad cop routine. Jake is the good cop. He's disarming, sharp, friendly, and knows how to play the game. And as bad cop, Ryan brings an intensity that can rally the troops and play hardball. And the big takeaway of all of this is that now is the time to start caring. Crypto has the resources, brain power, and conviction to play offense. So it's time for us to get out in front of it and start dictating the pace of some of this. And the big question here is whether America's two-party system is equipped to handle the biggest problems heading our way in the next couple decades. If it is, I think Jake Chervinsky is a name you'll be hearing a lot. And if it isn't, I'm going to let Ryan tell me what to do.
For many decades now, we've had a two-party system that is really just one big government party with different policy goals. Libertarians lose elections because they always say, vote for me, I'll do less work. And it's probably what we need, but it's not a very good message because people want to know, I'm going to vote for someone powerful. They're going to advance my agenda. They're going to advance my interests. Well, I'm going to get this, and this from this political leader. When really what we need is just a greater degree of decentralization. That's where crypto has been pretty powerful. If you think about crypto basically being like an opt-out political movement in many respects, it's a way to play that thesis proactively. And I think that's pretty powerful because it's techno progressives and it's classical liberals and it's like all the libertarians molded into one, but playing offense instead of just defense and basically saying, you know what, we're all screwed.
What I like most is that these two approaches are compatible, and this part of crypto's narrative is just getting started. So Visa bought a CryptoPunk, which is an absolutely insane headline. And I think big money institutions see something legit in crypto culture, and they're here to play ball. This could also just be a $150,000 marketing campaign. Probably a little bit of both. Either way, that bet is paying off as the floor for CryptoPunks at least doubled in the last week, and we've seen that kind of energy across the entire NFT space. This week we had DeeZe and Andy come on the State of the Nation and shed a ton of light on the things driving the NFT mania. It's mimetic desire, it's a creative revolution, it's setting precedents for what the metaverse looks and feels like. It's probably the dawn of a cultural renaissance, and it's also raw speculation on scarce pictures. If you want to play this game, do your homework, know what you're good at, and get things that you like. I don't have a collector's mindset, so I am enjoying this from the sidelines and cheering for the people who are in this for the right reasons. So Godspeed to the NFT bulls.
Like, think about the most valuable artwork that trades in the real world right now, or the most valuable trading cards and all that stuff. And think about how incredibly inefficient those markets are and how the amount of middlemen that are taking up a ton of time and money and effort. And to me, it just makes logical sense that all of the really high-end things that are going to happen in NFTs are just going to be orders of magnitude larger than what's happening in the current real world art markets, because it's 24/7. It's completely global. There's no barrier to entry. Obviously, you have to have the money to do it. And so I think that all those things combined, it's creating this really intense, as I said earlier, land grab for the really high-end stuff.
We also did a tactic on the Fractional Protocol, which splits NFTs into a bunch of pieces and allows for shared ownership of these tokens. This is an immediate level up for the space, and it makes NFTs far more widely accessible by giving them more utility and liquidity and making them more affordable. Speaking of liquidity, we covered Liquidity Protocol Tokemak this week with founder Carson Cook, aka Liquidity Wizard, aka Cosmic Brain. If you can't tell, Tokemak has memes, but Tokemak is also working to build a key primitive in DeFi, which is the liquidity layer. Tokemak answers a simple question: where do we put our capital? Well, we should put it where it's going to be the most productive. This is already happening to a degree in DeFi, but if you're a yield farmer or liquidity provider, you know that it's not optimally efficient. There's chaos, things are raw, disordered. It's a mercenary economy, as been described in this week's article. Tokemak aims to turn that chaotic energy into efficiency by aligning the incentives of stakeholders and shareholders. That is, one side provides capital, the other side decides where it goes, such that when liquidity goes to a productive place, everybody wins.
Over time, the utility or the value of Toka is not just that it's tokenized liquidity, but also that it's backed by this sort of growing black hole of assets. And internally, we talk about the moment of the singularity, which is when that grows big enough to where you actually don't need third-party LPs. So eventually, you can actually have the system have all the self-contained assets it needs to basically run itself. It's still governed by the Toka holders, and they're still routing this liquidity utility and directing it basically with their Toka. But at that point, you don't need third-party LPs, and you can do really, really interesting things. And eventually, that should mean spreads can go to zero or near zero, and that's when this thing really starts to approximate sort of broadband moment and bandwidth.
Tokemak is definitely a newer project, and there's a lot of building to be done, but their goal is a salient one, and they've definitely gotten off to a good start. Liquidity is the blood of an economy, and efficiently moving capital to where it needs to go is vital to the health and resilience of that ecosystem. Also, Layer Zero is a new podcast coming out of the Bankless ecosystem, focusing on the human side of Ethereum and DeFi and crypto. And the first guest last week was Dmitry Buterin, the founder of Vitalik, who's the founder of Ethereum. And Dmitry's a really deep thinker, to say the least, and there's a lot of musing on heavy topics like consciousness and communism.
In Ethereum, it's like, we have people with all kinds of values and desires and tendencies, but then still our foundational thing is like, how can we still understand and accept them, right? And for me, it's a very important aspect of also what being a human is, being a human and our compassion toward ourselves, toward all the sides that we might not like in ourselves. Like, I should not be this impulsive, or I should be, more kind, or whatever it is, right? But I am what I am, right? Kind of as a community, as we don't have to deny all these different people with different opinions and somewhat different values. But as long as there is a hierarchy, if you will, right? And again, they're at the very low level of this hierarchy is this openness, inclusiveness, right? And for me, that's really kind of the most important aspect of Ethereum community.
And thinking through the big questions is always a good reminder of why we're here in the first place. Nobody has all the answers, but leading with virtues like kindness, empathy, and mindfulness will definitely point you in the right direction. The next episode with Eric Connor comes out on Tuesday, and it's a good one. For my final thought this week, I'm going to pull from our article, The Holy Trinity for Adoption. The idea here is that there are three main things that drive adoption of new technology. Three things that are required to change society at a fundamental level. This is technology, liquidity, and memes. When you're trying to understand deep socioeconomic change, you have memes on the social side and tech and liquidity on the economic side. And I think you can reduce tech and liquidity even more to just capital efficiency. When you're trying to understand the world, see where the memes are and where the capital efficiency is. When something has both of those things, it can become an unstoppable force for change. If it only has memes, it's a hype phenomenon and probably doesn't have staying power. And if it only has capital efficiency, then it won't reach layer zero, the human side of things. Memes and capital efficiency don't exist in a vacuum, and they're definitely codependent on each other. And this was a really cool article, and my final thought is to seek out memes and seek out capital efficiency to understand where the market is going and more broadly where society is going. So with that, none of this is financial advice. ETH is risky, DeFi is risky, but we're headed west. It's the frontier. It's not for everyone, but we're glad you're with us here on the Bankless journey. And before we go, I want to quickly shout out our sponsors, ARBITRUM, MATCHA, Ledger, and UNISWAP. It's cool to sponsor things that we like, and this wouldn't be possible without them. So thanks a lot, and see you next time.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, head over to Bankless HQ right now to develop your crypto investing skills and learn how to free yourself from banks and gain your financial independence. We recommend joining our daily newsletter, podcast, and community as a Bankless Premium subscriber to get the most out of your Bankless experience. You'll get access to our market analysis, our alpha leaks, and exclusive content, and even the Bankless token for airdrops, raffles, and unlocks. If you're interested in crypto, the Bankless community is where you want to be. Click the link in the description to become a Bankless Premium subscriber today. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for in-depth interviews with industry leaders, Ask Me Anythings, and weekly roll-ups where we summarize the week in crypto and other fantastic content. Thanks everyone for watching and being on the journey as we build out the Bankless Nation.